At least 40% of males develop stretch marks during adolescence. That's 40%, almost half of the male population. Yet stretch marks are barely seen in visual culture on those who identify as male. We want to challenge the lack of male body positivity in stretch marks and what masculinity is in visual culture. We know that our perspective will be different from those who identify as male, as we are women. However, the views presented are from research and opinions shared by men in our lives. So, where has this lack of representation come from, and what does social media say about it?
The appearance of social media influencers impacts their audience's perception of them. Photoshop is frequently used by social media influencers to alter their appearance. Many females use this, but males also use it too. An appearance of a healthy and happy lifestyle is what most strive for. Therefore, these images make it seem as though these influencers are living the ideal life. Men's identity on social media can revolve around lifestyle, whereas in comparison, female social medias tend to be on appearance. This means males often have to show their lifestyle can provide for their partner. Therefore, men can often be seen flexing in their lifestyle in order to seem more attractive. Anthony Maneri's project, titled Arrested Movement, consists of black and white portraits of nude men to celebrate body positivity. Maneri did this because he said it was important. He says some men came up to him and told him that they were ill and they wanted proof that they existed. He said, "Whenever you hear about body positivity in the media, it's always directed at women. This is important to highlight within the visual culture that body positivity needs to be inclusive and not gender specific." The images show a great range of men who were able to be vulnerable in front of the camera and pose nude. The posing is something Maneri said he got inspiration from when a dancer posed in the first subject he photographed. He used this as a starting point. He said in an interview, "If it helps change one person's perception of themselves, then that's great." Maneri often told the males that he was looking at the lines of the body in which they were expressed in their face. He wanted the images to be stoic and celebratory at the same time. Whenever you hear about body positivity in the media, it's always directed at women.
Masculinity is a phrase that first originated in the 1980s and 90s, relating to the traditional stereotypes that are attached to masculinity. It involves men suppressing their own emotions to appear strong and without fault. Simply put, the dictionary defines toxic masculinity as a cultural concept of manliness that glorifies stoicism, strength, virility, and dominance, and that is socially maladaptive or harmful to mental health. Throughout the last 100 years, the fashion of the decade has reflected masculinity without any touch of any feminine style items. The prominent theme that stands throughout it all is that the man has always been regarded as the protector of the family, and that their own body is expected to reflect this in the way it's built. In her book Bodies, Susie Orbach suggests that, quote, "it has become a feature of postmodernist thought to see embodiment, like femininity and masculinity, as something we achieve through performing or enacting the body we want to have. This does fundamentally challenge the idea of toxic masculinity, as it creates the concept that men can look however they want. However, this can be incredibly detrimental to some people's minds." The male transgender community have found the toxic masculinity stereotype incredibly detrimental, as the presentation of what it means to be male often is out of their hands due to the way that their bodies are naturally built. A member of this community, Kelly Minars, quotes, "There's an expectation to have a very masculine body type. For me, it's a struggle because I'm short, and so I'm never going to have that tall guy masculine presentation. I've also had a lot of anxiety because you see a lot of guys who are very muscular and they have six packs, and my body type is not like that. I do feel a lot of pressure to aspire to that." A question on the site Quora by a young man says that, "I am an FTM and I've got stretch marks on my chest from my binder. I'm horribly upset by it as I feel I've ruined my chest for life because of this. Is there anything I can do? Will they fade or go away? The link between having no stretch marks and being male has inflicted psychologically a desire to have a perfect chest, which will strongly reflect masculinity. The perfection that Minard is describing is heavily influenced by the gym culture. Men are required to have a very low body fat percentage and needed to appear as strong as possible to increase their manlyhood. This image of masculinity stems from the biological protector role that men have taken throughout history. However, this fight against stretch marks makes no sense when you dive into the medical backgrounds to male stretch marks. The website Healthline describes that stretch marks on men can be caused by muscle gain and weightlifting, alongside health conditions. Weightlifting is such a central and core part of gym culture, so these two things go very much hand in hand. So why do we fight it? It must be considered whether there is a crisis of masculinity occurring within the 21st century. But first, what is a crisis of masculinity? Theorist David Morgan suggests that the idea usually consists of three related elements: health-related indications, changes in the economy and the gender order, and changes in the family and patterns of intimate living. The possible roots of this crisis are to be seen in, quote, the collapse of traditional men's work, the growth of a technical culture that cannot be passed on from generation to generation, the rise of feminism, and challenges to dominant forms of raciality. Summarized, the crisis is men doubting their place in society and struggling to find a role that they feel that they fit into. Physique is very important in this. Traditionally, men have needed to appear strong and dominant, connecting to the previous mention of the dominant gym culture. But the challenge of how men are feeling they need to look is beginning to allow men to appear in whatever way they wish. This very much links in with this study on men within visual culture, as a change in where they fit may change the way that they are being presented. Men are beginning to question their role in society and beginning to move away from the tough and strong dominant figure and moving into being able to show strength and masculinity in society through new ways.
Tyler Mitchell, an American portrait photographer, was able to capture the essence of Harry Styles embracing feminine clothing within these images that were captured for Vogue magazine in 2020. Harry Styles is known for his exploration of his identity, as well as challenging gender norms and societal beliefs that are held around what men should and shouldn't wear. Toxic masculinity plays a massive role in today's society. The media consisted of mixed opinions on these images. Candace Owen said that we should bring back manly men and that these photos represent the steady feminisation of our men. This is a prime example of toxic masculinity. Piers Morgan also had input and said that his clothing choices were weird. Ben Shapiro argued that the point of Styles doing this photo shoot is to feminise masculinity. More and more celebrities and influencers are exploring their identities and are not afraid of the backlash that they may face. This suggests that it's slowly becoming more accepted within society for men to wear more feminine clothes and to be associated with rituals that are stereotyped for women. Lil Nas, shown on this slide, is an example of this, as he has acrylic fake nails on and they are also painted colour. Harry Styles also wears nail polish. So, if the movement for clothing to be gender neutral is slowly becoming accepted, when will men's bodies and stretch marks become less of a taboo? Theorist Judith Butler suggests that the notion that gender is a performance. She asks, if gender is insituated through acts which are internally discontinuous, then the appearance of substance is precisely that, a constructed identity, a performative accomplishment. If gender is a constructed concept of identity like what Butler is suggesting, then old masculine stereotypes can start to be removed and men can show hidden aspects of their body that a few years ago would have been frowned upon in society, specifically stretch marks. There is a small rise in the representation of male bodies on social media platforms. When scrolling through Instagram, I came across these images that were in support of normal male bodies. They showed stretch marks on men as well as a range of different body types. Photography constructs the view of the world, gender, race, and more. In order for this to become normalized, it has to become visible. So, in order for change, we need action. We would love to see images shared on social media platforms of males embracing the bodies that they are in and embracing stretch marks. This will help normalise all of this and help empower others to do the same.
Why are we telling you this? We would love to see a change in the attitudes towards stretch marks for those who identify as male. From our own personal conversations with men in our own lives, the lack of inclusivity for men within the body positivity community needs to change. Men's insecurities need to be highlighted so the pain surrounding them can begin to fade. Social media is the key to this. We need to see men sharing their stories and their true bodies without any shame or judgment. To have true inclusivity, we need to shed light on hidden male issues.